Matt Dillahunty just brought one of the weakest arguments forward that I have heard in a while. It was on the Atheist Experience channel, and the title of it was Confronting Supernatural Beliefs, the Atheist Experience, throwback. And I think it was one of the older, probably an older segment that they've had, and maybe they, sliced it up. Maybe it was an hour or 2 hour long program. They sliced it up and they're running it out there as little tidbits here and there. But this guy named Eric he'd already quit believing in God, so now he wanted to, quit believing in the supernatural. So Matt, in a very loving and fatherly way, is, trying to guide him through some of the proper thinking. And Matt makes this statement, and it was crafty. What a crafty, sly statement. It was actually a personal appeal to authority wrapped in a leading question. One of those, directions where you're like, come here, little boy, come here. Let me guide you this direction. And so here was Matt's statement. He said, so if there is no way to investigate or confirm the supernatural, then belief can never rationally be justified, right? Wow, what do you think of that statement? I mean, he asked it in such a way, he was just trying to get this atheist further along in his beliefs. And he's like, if you can't really investigate this thing, if there's no way to investigate it or confirm it, then you can't really justify the belief. But if this metric is correct, it should work in other scenarios. It should deal with logic, right? Or should at least address the human species. So what if I said it like this? So what if I said, if there is no way to investigate or confirm history, then belief can never rationally be justified, right? Like, how would we study history, and investigate it and confirm it except through maybe testimonies? Or what about, so if there is no way to investigate or confirm a person's consciousness, then the belief in that consciousness could never really be justified, right? What if we said, so if there is no way to investigate or confirm a person's emotions, then belief can never be rationally justified, right? Well, what he is actually trying to say here is that this is empirical, okay? He's talking about an empirical way. There is no empirical way to measure this. But there is no way to have a complete investigation. Every single investigation has its limits. All investigations will have their boundaries. You're never going to get all of the information. So at some point, you're going to go into estimating and guessing and steps of faith. So while there are ways to investigate the supernatural and to confirm the supernatural, it's just that you can't do it empirically. You can investigate it by testimony or talking to people. But the whole irony of this is that Matt is making this authoritative claim that can't be empirically investigated or confirmed. I mean, think about that. Think about that. Now, he goes on to say, this doesn't mean it's not true. And what a way to hide in your agnosticism. What a way to just back off of things. Here, we all know one of Matt's main goals is to, free people from Christianity and get out from under this God delusion, get people thinking, more correctly. And in doing that, in tackling that, he says, well, it's not that it's not true, it's just basically not relevant. And so he further, in this segment, one of the things he says is, are there good reasons to believe? Or what reason do I have to believe? And I'm going to tell you what a good reason to believe is. And I've got a meat and potatoes argument in a second. Okay, so let me give you a terrible argument from your opinion first, but I want you to really think about this. Do you know what your mind is made up of? The evidence I'm fixing to give you is what your mind is already made up of. The words and the language that you think in or that you know was given to you by this. The definitions were mostly given to you by this. History, facts, logic tools, comprehension, concepts. Most of everything that has been given to you was given to you by testimony. It was given to you by testimony, and you have worked it into your psyche or the way that you think and operate, or your code, or whatever you want to call it. And so most of everything that is boiling or inside of you is a conglomeration of your experience, of other people giving you testimony, and you have worked it in and baked it in to who you are. There's actually so little of you that very little of you is unique. So we have accepted so much by testimony that sometimes it's hard for us to grasp that a good way to investigate or confirm something is by testimony, and we do this across the board. At least some of the elite atheists will admit to this, like Hitchens. He's like, I just have to trust those around me, my cohorts, because, I don't have time to investigate everything. And this is true. Now, one of the things about trusting people is if you run into someone who is lying about something, that is utterly destructive. It is toxic. And yes, we don't want to trust liars. But just because somebody makes a large claim does not technically make them a liar. So we need to actually think about that for a minute. Who do we trust, and how do we trust them? Do we trust what they tell us because it is what we want to hear, or do we trust what they tell us more because of their character? And that is an interesting dynamic there. So there are reasons that we should trust the testimony of others, is because people are unique and different from us. People literally see things different than us. We know that some people see in 3 dimensions, some people see stereophonically, some people see colors, some people see less colors, some people see with a perception level that other people do not see with. Some people hear things that other people do not hear. We know that animals hear things that we do not hear. We know that people have various IQs and various thought patterns. People have differing taste buds. People have different levels of sensation in their hands. And we know that different human beings have differing experiences. And so how blind of me to say, well, I'm going to only measure things empirically by what I myself personally can verify. No, so much has been handed to you by testimony already that you should be open to hearing some things by testimony that might be a little harder to investigate or to confirm. But is there a real meat and potatoes reason to believe that the supernatural might exist? And I'm going to say absolutely. I want you to think about this for a minute. Have you ever discovered that there was more to the world than you could see? Or that there was more to the world than you could hear? Or that there was more to the world than you already thought or comprehended? Do you think all of our concepts of chemistry are totally mapped out? We're not even scratching the surface. Do you think that all of the discoveries are done? Do you think there's no more to learn in mathematics? In actuality, what we find is that every direction we look, large, small, internally, with variety, with composition, in all directions, we are finding infinity. And in looking at that, one of the things we should know is that, very clearly, is that we don't know everything, and there should be more to know and more to grasp. And so when we say something like, is the supernatural real, or is there a way to believe in the supernatural? Think of it like this. Do you believe there might be another layer of nature to discover? That's all we're saying when we say the supernatural, is there's another layer of the natural. But what people like unto Matt have stated, and I'm going to try to clarify and be very fair with this, but one of the things that a lot of atheists try to state is that things like miracles and the supernatural are impossible. Well, first, they're measuring by their own empirical standards, but to that, I would say, okay, well, please define for me what impossible is and why it is impossible. And what that shows is that person is defining it by their experience level or by their total grasp of reality. The wise atheist at that point would say, you know what, I can't really define what is impossible because I really don't quite know. So that's where you kind of take that Matt stance and take the back a little bit and go, well, I'm going to be a little more agnostic on this. I'm going to say, well, miracles then are most likely improbable. And he asked you, do you want to stand on that? Do you really want to stand by this, that miracles are maybe they're not impossible, because Matt's not saying, I don't know, maybe the supernatural exists, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's just improbable. Then if it's improbable, that takes us back to, why would you make a statement like, so if there's no way to investigate or confirm something, do you think there would be an easy way to investigate or confirm the highly improbable? Or is it always going to be a little out of our reach? And see, that's what this whole thing is about, is who controls the dynamic. Is it under my reach or is it out from under my reach? So the main complaint of atheists is they're saying the supernatural it might exist or it might not exist, and it's out there. But what we are under is under the Christian dominance. I mean, they impact the way we think. They try to impact the laws. They try to govern things. They try to give us protocols, etc. And so, yes, that is the case. But atheists have something right in front of them that should be really easy to accomplish. It should be really easy to formulate this, because Christopher Hitchens has said that, atheists can come up with any kind of morality that Christians could, and then, we even have Matt Dillahunty saying you could have better. So why not come up with a system that is better than everyone telling the truth and trusting each other? If you could come up with that system, you would probably garner more people to your side instead of trying to get them to distrust each other, but finding out that we have to trust each other because everything can't be measured empirically. Some things just have to be measured rationally.